that all the people are ready to go. But I do think some of them are more than ready. But Gemma's ready to rock now. Can I just tell you very quickly? She is the lady who got the case of Father Niall Malloy reinstated, and also, I can hardly read my own, but Mary Boyle, who was the youngest and longest missing person in Ireland. So we're talking about real journalism here. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that introduction, and thanks to all of you for being here today. I have no doubt that you are all real patriots who care about our country and its future. All around Ireland today there are other Yellow Vest movements gathering in Dublin, I believe, possibly in Donegal, Galway. So don't feel that this is an isolated event. It's also the case that all across the continent today, especially in France, the Yellow Vest movement is gathering pace, and it is now an unstoppable force because it is standing up against the forces of globalism that seek to destroy our continent, that seek to destroy our national identities, our sovereignty, our health, and our futures. And before I start, I just want to thank Rowan Croft, Torino. I'm sure many of you know his YouTube channel. Well done. Rowan has made the effort to come here today from Dublin. He's probably the only journalist who's covering this, new movement that is developing, and also all of the corruption that's going on in our country and in our continent. It frightens me so much to see these young women who have spoken before me in the situation that they are in. There are too many of our young people getting sick. It is not normal. It is not normal, and it is by design, not by accident. And any of you know about anything to do with Agenda 21 and the plan that they have for us, which does involve depopulation, you are all awake to this, I imagine. But sadly, many people in Athlone and County Westmeath and around our country are not yet awake to what is going on here. So I just want to ask the question, what would Padraig Pearse and the men and women of 1916 make of the Ireland of 2019? The people who died so that we could be free. What would they make of the Ireland of their dreams, which now lies in ruins? An Ireland where fundamental rights like freedom of speech are trampled upon every single day. An Ireland where men, women and children are thrown out of their homes by corrupt banks while properties lie empty all around the country. An Ireland where people who fight these immoral evictions are thrown into jail while real criminals walk our streets. What would the men and women of 1916 think of the Ireland that we have, rampant with poverty and homelessness, where 130,000 children are growing up hungry, where people in their 20s and 30s cannot dream of affording a home of their own, where the majority of people are slaves to the banks and whose taxes are squandered day in and day out by corrupt politicians. And I just want to reiterate that all of this is happening by design, not by accident. And it is all so unnecessary. We are a rich country. We can look after our tiny population. But your wealth and your taxes are being squandered every single day. What would the men and women of 1916 think of our disgraced police force and justice system, who turn a blind eye to corruption, who protect paedophiles and child killers, who step on the rights of those they are supposed to serve, to protect their political masters. I'm surprised that they're not here today. They're usually out in force to try and stop ordinary citizens like us from speaking out. What would the leaders of 1916 think of an Ireland where lawyers destroy justice, doctors destroy health, teachers destroy children, journalists destroy truth, and politicians destroy the lives of those they are supposed to serve? What would they think of our education system, which corrupts our children's minds with crazy notions about genders and talk of sex instead of protecting their innocence and making them strong, moral individuals with conviction and backbone? And what would they think of our corrupt mainstream media and our national, so-called national broadcaster, which spews lies and lies and lies out to the public every single day, to those who are still foolish enough to listen? And if you are still listening to RTE, though I expect many of you here are not, well, you only are getting the country that you deserve. And it is I am pleading with people to switch off RTE, get rid of your television, stop paying your TV license, because RTE is the most toxic influence over our state, because they are the propaganda machine of our corrupt government, and they are making a killing on your taxes to keep you in the dark. What would the leaders of 1916 think about the wipeout of our towns and villages, where small Irish businesses do not stand a chance in the face of global chains that offer bland homogeneity? And I see one here, Marks and Spencer's, a pillar of globalism, a pillar. Obviously, when it arrived in Athlone, people thought it was a great thing. But no doubt, many local small groceries selling much healthier food were wiped out by its arrival. We were all duped. I drove down here today and I stopped in the Apple Green and I saw all of the really unhealthy food being sold. And, you know, again, you just think this is all being done by design, not by accident. We can do an awful lot better than that. What would the people of 1916 think about the destruction of our finest landscapes by industrial wind turbines that wreck the environment on the phony claim that they are saving it? What would they make of the poisoning of our seas, our rivers, our lakes, the treatment of our livestock as a result of dangerous intensive farming, the seizure of our lands by vulture funds that swoop in and make a killing out of people suffering? And what would the men of 1916 think of the signing over of our most valuable natural resources to foreign interests? What would they think of the fact that we are still driving out, our brightest and our best, who are leaving the country in their droves, breaking up families and communities? Could the men and women of 1916 believe that we have handed over control of our borders to unelected, corrupt bureaucrats in Brussels and the United Nations? Unelected officials who want to demolish the the identity of our wonderful, brilliant continent and create the inevitable war that will follow. How would they feel that the Irish will soon be an ethnic minority in their own country? Or to fulfill the perverse wishes of this global banking elite who has brought our country to its knees. And it is not racist to state this. It is, however, racist to allow it to happen. What would the people of 1916 think of the health of our nation? The fact that more than 500,000 people languish on hospital waiting lists, that our tiny island has the 3rd highest cancer rates in the world. And we have seen, again, how many young people are getting sick. And I've said it at the beginning, we've seen them here today. We see them all around us, getting these really unusual diseases at a time in our history when we should be healthy. We have the knowledge, but the knowledge is being kept from us by Big Pharma, by corrupt Big Pharma. As the ladies who have spoken before me have stated, they are in bed with government. It is all about money. It is not about our health. What would they think of the fact that we allow our water supply to be mass medicated with a neurotoxin, fluoride? What would they think of the fact that we allow our corrupt health service to poison our children with unnecessary, dangerous vaccines? And most importantly, what would they think of the fact that so many of our young men and women see no other way out but through suicide? I think so many of them back in 1916 would be deeply disturbed about the fact that many people also seem not to care. And who could blame them for asking, was it for this? Today in France, Merkel and Macron have their tanks out once again with their EU branding, and the European Union army is going to become a reality, and I know many of you know about this. But as I've said already, in France and in Italy and in Spain and in Poland, they are taking their country back. All across the countries of the former Eastern Bloc, people are standing up against globalism. They're standing up against the satanic forces that have ripped their identities to shreds and their countries. They thought they had freedom. Little did they know. But what these people do know is their history. They know what it is like to live under communism and fascism. These people remember their history, and it is time that we remembered ours. We have failed the men and women who fought for our freedom. We have failed our children and our grandchildren. But it is not too late. A new Ireland, the sort of Ireland that the men and women of 1916 lost their lives to achieve, is within our reach, and it is easily within our reach. There is not one party in Dáil Éireann that has the best interests of the Irish nation and the Irish people at heart. Neil Radker, Simon Harris, Simon Coveney, Catherine Sapone, Micheál Martin, Mary Lou MacDonald, Richard Boyd Barrett, Paul Murphy, Catherine Murphy. In my opinion, every one of them is a traitor to Ireland, the Irish nation and her people. In less than 4 months' time, you have an opportunity to take our country back. The local and European elections will be held in May, and this is a golden opportunity that only comes around every few years. We have a chance to change this, to rid our country of the filth, the corruption that infests it. We have an opportunity to take our country back from the unelected officials in Brussels and the United Nations that are dictating to us how we should live our lives. And that is what the Yellow Vest movement is about. They are so frightened of it because it is about protecting our national sovereignty and regaining control of our own destiny. If we don't take a stand now, it will be too late. In every corner of Ireland, as we speak, people are talking about corruption. I know it. People write to me every day of the week, pleading that something can be done to change it. So do not feel alone here today. I know I am contacted by hundreds, if not thousands of people at this stage. As I say, saying that they have been victims of corruption. It is widespread and it is rampant. In every single community in our beautiful country, there are people of integrity and honesty who are not controlled by the vested interests that have damaged our country so much up to now. And these are the people that we have to elect the next time round. As we speak, the political parties are polishing up their brochures, churning them out, and assuming that the Irish people will be foolish enough to fall for it once again. And unfortunately, some people will be. But the only way we can stop that is by putting ourselves forward. None of us wants to have to do that, to be involved in a profession that understandably many people feel is filthy and rotten to the core. But that is because we have allowed it to happen. But we can make politics in Ireland clean again, like it was 100 years ago. So all around you, in your communities, there are people, you know them, and they are here today. And these people will get elected if they stand in May. But if we stand idly by and allow these elections to take place for our city and county councils, for the seats in Europe, well, we cannot wake up in June and say, well, you know, we have to try. If not, the status quo will remain. And I am urging people to stand for election, because if you stand on an anti-globalist, anti-corruption mandate, you will be elected. You will be elected because people are sick and tired. Now, I just want to mention one man who was supposed to be here today, and that is Ben Gilroy. And I would like you to give him a very serious round of applause. Ben Gilroy is the country's foremost anti-eviction activist, and he came before our courts recently yet again, saying it as it is, speaking out against the injustice that happens in our courtrooms every single day of the week under a judiciary that is controlled out of Dáil Éireann. Ben Gilroy said everything many of us feel, that the legal industry in this country is controlled and run by semi-secret societies who go around in their wigs and their gowns and who think they are superior to us. We all know that access to justice in this country is a nightmare. We all know. We all know that there are families tonight whose lives have been wrecked as a result of the brutality served upon them at the hands of our police force, TUSLA, and other corrupt institutions of the state. There are families like the family of Shane O'Farrell, who died as a result of Garda neglect, who are crying out for justice, for whom justice could be done like this. But it can't be, because it would expose the corruption at the heart of our state. All of these families need justice. Mary Boyle deserves justice. Father Niall Malloy deserves justice. Raynard Murray deserves justice. Sophie Toussaint de Plantier, justice. Jojo Dollard, justice. And many, many more. These murders have all been covered up by our state. And in most cases, the chief suspects are politically connected. Ben Gilroy was highlighting the corruption in our justice system, and he had to be silenced. He was speaking out for every single one of you who could lose your home when it is taken by a foreign vulture fund. This is the plan. Nobody is safe at this stage. So please do what you can to send your support to Ben, be it through a letter, a postcard to Mountjoy Prison, and today I also want to remember his brilliant wife, Sarah Jane, and their 3 beautiful children. So finally, I just want to remind you all again how hard our ancestors fought for our independence. We cannot allow those that rule us to throw it away. We have to stop being slaves to this system. We have to stop being afraid to speak out. And we will be called names by the tiny, corrupt group of people who are paid shills, who are there, you know, to stifle our freedom. But they are the few and we are the many, and we can't allow them to silence us, and they won't. Don't let anyone else tell you what you are or what to think. That is what is wrong with this country. These people in Europe, these people in the United Nations want to control every single aspect of your life. Do not let them. It is time to stand up against the forces of globalism that seek to destroy our world, our countries, and humanity. It is time to reclaim Ireland for good. Thank you so much for listening. Thanks, everyone.